CBC News is looking into a Japanese news report that says Honda is considering moving some production from its plant in Alliston to the U.S. It's the latest in a series of automakers possibly moving production to the country in the wake of Donald Trump's trade war. The report comes from Japanese news outlet Nikkei. It says Honda Japan is considering shifting production of the CR-V and Civic sedan to the U.S. from Alliston, Ontario. The report doesn't name its sources, but does cite Canada's retaliatory vehicle tariffs against the U.S. The Trump administration has a 25% tariff in place on foreign-made vehicles, but there are complex exemptions involving Canadian-made cars. Metro Morning spoke to automotive journalist Greg Layson about what this might mean.
There has to be contingency plans for contingency plans for contingency plans at this point. We just don't know what his end game is, Donald Trump, other than bringing jobs back to America. We don't know if he's going to change his mind today or tomorrow or next month. We're hearing of postponement now of tariffs on parts from May 3rd. There might be exceptions after that. Who knows? And this is why these stories start to trickle out. You have to imagine that the upper managers, the high-level managers at all of these automakers are planning for a worst-case scenario, which is these tariffs are permanent and we cannot eat this cost forever. And so while this is one that has leaked, I would assume that there are other high-level managers at all automakers operating in Ontario considering the exact same thing.
Yeah, Flavio Volpe of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association has told CBC the Japanese plan for plans, but I don't see Honda in Ontario being affected at the moment. And this is, to be clear, what is being leaked is a 2 or 3 year horizon. But the way in which it would potentially be achieved is by taking the CR-V and the Civic, which are already produced in the U.S., increase the amount of production in that country, and I suppose reduce the production that's happening in this country. Is that the risk that we could see across all automakers?
Yes, but it's going to take time. You know, I ran a story in about January or February. Just to give you some context, Honda makes the Civic here in Ontario. Obviously, it is the lead global plant, which means they believe this is the best possible quality plant they can have to make one of their most important vehicles. So that's good for Ontario, good for those workers. Honda made 229,000 total vehicles at its Indiana factory, where it also makes the Civic, through November of last year. That is running at max capacity. So I ask, where do they move the Civic production in Alliston to America? It would mean new lines or brand new factories, which are 2 to 3 year projects at anywhere from $2 billion to $5 billion. And they have to find the land, the supply chain, and do all of this stuff to essentially relocate an entire factory. That is not easy, and it doesn't happen fast. I have said this on occasion. It's easy to keep Donald Trump somewhat happy and somewhat at bay by just making an announcement, by maybe having a leak. Oh, we plan to have 90% of our U.S. vehicles made in America within 2 or 3 years. He considers that a win. He thinks he's forcing the hand of the automakers. It's easy to make a plan. It's expensive and long and difficult to execute those plans.